Welcome back to my channel. So glad you're here. Well, it looks like the reality TV divorce curse lives on. Lives on, is going strong. Yeah. I was sitting there thinking about in my mind how many divorces have been over the numerous shows that have been out reality TV wise, and how this has just been going on forever. I think it first hit or first notification of this was through the Bravo network with the Real Housewives. If you still watch that, you'll notice that a lot of the shows on the Housewives, well, it started to get to a point where nobody was married anymore. So it was just kind of one of those things like, what's the point? And I don't know about you, but as far as when I used to watch it all the time, I used to think that, well, maybe they get on the show just to make sure they secure whatever bag they needed to secure so they can then go ahead and move on with the rest of their life, because it didn't seem like anybody was looking to stay for any reason whatsoever past their debut on the show. So yeah, it seems like this phenomena still continues on. It's kind of crazy, but we're going to get into it a little bit. So let's go ahead and do just that. Now, this is according to people. They're basically sharing that all the TLC reality TV couples who have divorced from the Goslings and the DeRicos to the sister wives. Now, if you have been paying attention a little bit to the reality TV world, I think about last week or so, maybe a week and a half ago or so, it seems that the DeRicos have decided to call it quits on their marriage. Pretty unfortunate, because I think they have 13 or 14 kids. So that didn't really make a lot of sense on why they were calling it quits, but I didn't read all the details. So this sharing might provide some of that, because it is quite crazy that with all those children that they couldn't make it. But then that might be the very reason too. You just never know, right? So let's go ahead and get into this. Basically, with this share, we're going to be finding out which of our favorite TLC stars have stood the test of time, or more or less, maybe in this sharing, the ones that didn't. So for decades, reality TV stars have allowed fans into their lives and put their relationships on screen, and loyal fan bases have developed. But unfortunately, not all relationships stand the test of time, and a number of the couples featured on TLC have had to face divorce while in the public eye. From Jon and Kate Gosling, which if you used to watch Jon and Kate +8, you'll remember famously their divorce so many years ago, to the most recently Dion and Karen DeRico of Down with the DeRicos. Here are some of the reality TV stars' favorites who have gone their separate ways over the years. And I think when I think of Dawn, I think of Vicki and Dawn, right? They were from Real Housewives of Orange County, and they famously got a divorce after, I think maybe the next season or so after they renewed their vows. That was also a curse too. So let's go ahead and get on with the first couple. So as you can see here, we're starting off with Dion and Karen DeRico. Dion and Karen DeRico, who chronicled their challenges of parenting 14 children on TLC's Doubling Down with the DeRicos, filed for divorce on June 4, 2024, after getting married in 2005. 2 days after filing, a judge signed off on their split on June 6, according to TMZ. The estranged couple's plans to share custody of their 13 minor children, Derek 13, 12-year-old twins Dallas and Denver, 10-year-old quintuplets Deanna, Dakin, and Dayton, Denico and Darius, 6-year-old Diaz and Dior, and 4-year-old triplets Dawson, De'Aaron, and Diver. Their oldest daughter, Darian, is 18 years old. Together, we remain unified in the parenting of our 14 beautiful children. Their well-being is our priority, the couple had told People, and we thank everyone for their understanding and support as we move forward for the good of our family. Next up, we are covering the famous Kate and Jon Gosling, which is probably more famous for their public divorce than most anything. Sometimes you got to forget about how many children they had, and they were probably one of the first shows, I think, on TLC that did with the grand size of family on their channel. So DeRicos are the ones that are currently right now. There's a couple of other family concepts as well with these large families with tons and tons of children. So yeah, they were kind of the trailblazers, the pioneers of that concept being brought to television. So let's go ahead and move into some reverence and reminiscence of their situation. Kate Gosselin and John Gosselin, who are famously the parents of 8 children, filed and finalized their divorce in June of 2009 after cheating allegations surfaced involving John. They first became parents in October 2000 when they welcomed twin girls, Eddie and Kara, now 23. 4 years later, they expanded their household with the arrival of sextuplets, Alexis, Hannah, Aiden, Colin, Leah, and Joel, now 20. Their unique family dynamics were the basics their unique dynamics were the basis for their TLC show, John and Kate Plus 8, later renamed Kate Plus 8, which ran from 2007 to 2017 and followed the pair as they raised 8 children in Pennsylvania. So they had a really good run. At the time of their split, Kate told People of the former couple's plans to remain amicable for the sake of their children. My dream and my hope is that we can share holidays and birthdays, and for the kids, have it be peaceful, she said in July of 2009. All of those times that we can pull together and drop our issues at the door, it just benefits our kids. It says in the aftermath of the split, however, John and Kate have been at odds, and they were, and they continue to be, even as I think as recent as just a few years ago, when I believe it might have been Colin possibly he had been away and he had decided that he wanted to stay with his father, John, and then Hannah also, both of them from the sextuplets, decided she wanted to also move in and live with her father too. So there's been a lot of discord in that family situation and their dynamics that has, kind of followed within the realm of off the screen into regular media coverage, if you will. So hopefully they are in a much more stable place for all of them. It appears now everybody is adults now. So hopefully anything that they have been able to get through, they've been able to get through, and the things that they need to work on, they can do that through some form of whatever it is that will make them be in a better place, because it's never a really good thing when family splinters off the way that it appeared that they were doing. So hopefully there's been some healing in the last few years. So let's go ahead and move on to the next couple. Now, I never really got into this show at all, really, because the whole premise of it really just didn't interest me that much, to be honest with you. I just wasn't into it. But I know that it's a popular show on TLC. I think it's still running in TLC. And one of the most, I think, the most potent situations regarding the show is how now it seems like the lead guy is divorced. His name is Cody, to maybe all of the women. So how does that work, huh? And I think even at least one is remarried, and the other one, because there was 2 blondes there. I think the second blonde might be on her way to get married too. I'm not really sure, but one I know did, and she seems much happier, and I'm happier for them, because it just seemed like straight toxicity with this whole situation. But if you did watch this show, which was Sister Wives, then you probably would have enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and drop it down in the comment section. Tell me what you thought, and are you surprised of all the many divorces this gentleman seems to have had all at once? But let's get into it. For 17 seasons, which is hard to believe the show was on this long, viewers have followed Kody Brown and the lives of his 4 wives and 18 children on TLC's Sister Wives. When the series premiered in 2010, Kody was legally married to his first wife, Meri Brown, and spiritually married to his 2 other wives, Janelle Brown and Christine Brown. Eventually, Kody went on to marry his 4th wife, Robyn Brown, whom he spiritually married in 2010 and later legally married in 2014 after divorcing Meri on paper. The first season of the show followed Robyn's integration into the family, as the other 3 wives had been living and raising their children together for 16 years. However, in November of 2021, Kody and Christine announced their split after more than 25 years of marriage. A little over a year later, Kody and Janelle confirmed in December of 2022 they were separating. And just a few days after the news of Kody and Janelle's news, people confirmed that Kody's 32-year marriage with his first wife, Meri, was also over. Robyn is now Kody's only remaining wife, so she managed to hang in there, just that one. We'll see how long that lasts, shall we? Moving on to the next couple. Step right up, step right up. We are now moving into Matt and Amy Roloff, another couple that has been part of the Little Big World franchise show. And I actually have watched the show since the beginning, I think, of its inception. So I'm very familiar with the show and the dynamics. There have been a couple of seasons that I have missed. And last season I did miss because, I mean, honestly, it just started to get a little tense for me. watching it, a little annoyed with some of the things that was going on. That happens sometimes. So, I just kind of took a break from watching it because it just really didn't interest me, and I didn't like the discord that was happening. And yeah, it played out really well on the show. And so I'm sure for those who continue to watch the show and support them, you would have been able to see how all these things have played out. I do believe that their show is possibly going on right now. So if you are still watching Little People Big World, drop that down in the comment section below. I'd be interested to know how you have felt the show has changed since the dynamic of Matt and Amy's divorce. But let's get on into it. Matt and Amy Roloff had got divorced in 2016 after 27 years of marriage. The former couple, who have documented their lives on Little People Big World since 2006, share 4 children: Zachary Roloff, Jeremy Roloff, Molly Roloff, and Jacob Roloff. Matt and Amy now have 7 grandchildren, including their most recent grandson, born in April of 2022. Matt has a dystrophic dysplasia, a rare form of dwarfism, while Amy and Zach have acroplasia. Acrodroplasia. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. The most common form of dwarfism. Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob are of average size. After 27 years of marriage, it is with great sadness that we have come to the difficult decision to file for divorce. The couple had told People at the time of their divorce. We are proud of what we have accomplished together, including raising 4 children, wonderful children that is, who have grown to become remarkable adults, and building our strong and ongoing successful businesses. Because if you may recall, if you do watch the show, they not only have the farm that was business opportunities off of that. I think they had like kind of a salsa or something like that as well, and maybe other businesses to boot that they were in, working together with. Since their divorce, Matt and Amy have kept an amicable relationship and have moved on with new partners. In August of 2021, Amy married Chris Merrick at the farm, family farm, while Matt and his fiance Karen Chandler got engaged in April 2023. And of course, there is obviously tension in that situation because, from what I understand, Karen Chandler was working on the farm when Amy and Matt were married. So I've never been really too keen on that situation, regardless of whatever took place. I mean, I don't know. Having someone so close in your backyard, literally, is never a good thing. So, but karma is something. So we'll see how that all hells out. But on the other side, Amy and Matt seem to be very or not Amy and Matt, excuse me. Amy and Chris seem to be very happy and content in their relationship. And if I'm not mistaken, Chris was probably pushing 60, if not 60 by the time he got married. He was up there in, more senior in age. And he has never been married before. And he doesn't have any children. So this must have been quite, a change for him, being a bachelor for as long as he has been. But he seems to get along really well with Amy. And one thing about Amy and Matt's situation that used to really irk me for the most part is just, they really were just on opposite sides of a lot of things. One was maybe a little bit more emotional than the other. The other one that was not so emotional was just always doing whatever he thought. No giveaway there, right? He thought was supposed to be. And then, just watching the breakdown and demise of that relationship was, I thought, pretty sad, but also pretty relatable because so many couples do go through that very thing. So I always thought it was kind of brave that they were showing that. We got to see Amy really kind of come out of that situation and start to build more up in her confidence. And that was nice to see. And then Chris comes along because that's usually what happens when you start to, work with yourself and get yourself into a healing spot. Then the right person does walk along, and here we are. So, and he seems to take it really well. I think he gets along with Matt as well. And as awkward as I know that situation is with the Karen girl, yeah, I give Amy kudos for even dealing with her, to be honest with you. So, but that's my opinion, my thoughts. If you have a different set of opinions, you probably do. And if that's the case, you more can respectfully put them down in the comment section. We can talk about it. All right, so let's move on to one very infamous relationship, I would say. And I am so glad this one is over because, oh my gosh, if you ever watched this couple, it would drive you insane. At first, they seemed beautiful. At first, it seemed lovely. And it just, after a while, it just wasn't. And I was so ready for this relationship to end. And I am not a proponent of divorce. I don't find that to be a happy place to be in. But I do find that if it's something that's necessary, then do it, because it is better to not be with the right person. It's better to not be in a relationship and happy with yourself and open to, real love and true love and committed love than to sit in a relationship that is serving you nothing, but just drama and trouble. And let me tell you, the demise of this relationship, as sad as it was to watch, as far as watching someone go through it, I'm so glad that Chantel has moved on, because to me, this guy, no go for me. Now, there's some people who don't care for Chantel that much, and that's fine. I just feel, it was time for that parting to happen. And I'm just so sorry she could not realize some of the things that she needed to realize before it got to the point that it did, because I think that he kind of dog walked her a little bit in their subsequent show from 90 Days. Because if you are familiar with this couple, you would have known them for 90 days. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of their situation here. Chantel Everett and Pedro Jimeno. Fans were first introduced to Chantel Everett and Pedro on 90 Day Fiancé after starring on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, and 90 Day Fiancé, Self-Quarantine. The pair's love story continued on their spin-off series, The Family Chantel, which I believe ended, I want to say last year, or if it was this year, it was early this year, I can't remember. But in May 2022, Pedro had filed for divorce from Chantel, and a mutual restraining order was filed the same day. According to documents obtained by Entertainment Tonight, at the time the outlet reported that Chantel later submitted her own filing and cited adultery as the reason behind their divorce. She also accused Pedro of cruel treatment in form of physical, domestic violence, as well as mental pain. And, I didn't see any of the physical domestic violence situation play out on the show. I don't know if they would even have shown any of that, if there was any. So can't speak to that. Of course, all things alleged in that area. But, we did see the back and forth, the arguing, the breakdown of communication, the pettiness between the two of them in their new show. And quite frankly, it started in their old show. Now, some people would feel that when it came to their demise, that Chantel's family had a lot to do with that, because they were so, protective and overprotective of her. But it didn't feel like she let them in enough time to give them the opportunity to get to know Pedro either. So at the end of the day, they started hearing things that were very uncomplimentary of him. His family was not a family you'd want to deal with on any day, and they didn't get along. There was a lot of nastiness. It continued on, and I just felt at some point that they were all trying to find a way to get over here, and succeeded. I don't know about the other two, if they're going to or not, but I guess if they do another show that features them, then we'll find out. If I'm not mistaken, I think his mother Lydia went on the single life version of 90 Day the last season, I think. It didn't seem like it was going anywhere in that relationship either, and that's just because when you're as saucy as they can be, sometimes it doesn't pan well for you. I mean, people don't want to deal with that nonsense, so get yourself together first. I'm going to try to be in a real relationship. But yeah, I want to say too, after the Family Chantel, which I actually like the show. I mean, I don't know how popular it was or wasn't, but I enjoyed it. It was an hour that I could just zone out and watch what someone else is going through. But I remember when the Family Chantel show came on, and I didn't like the leadway or whatever to Pedro's family happened to be on there, because I didn't think it was necessary, to be honest with you, because it was nothing but toxicity all the time. And they kind of looked like it was trying to spin them off to maybe something they could do on their own, but I don't know if the audience would have been there for that all the time. They would probably come to be the show that you would love to hate, or the show that you would hate to hate, and it might not have been a good idea to move forward with that. And so I'm glad that we haven't seen anything else with that, but I do wish Chantel much success in life, and Pedro to move on and seek healing, I guess. But I don't know if he's still in the States himself. He probably is, and if he's doing well, great, good on them. We saw Chantel actually also be on the Single Life this last season. I don't think that she was on the same season as Pedro's mother, though, but I'm not 100% sure. You know how they can have a bunch of couples on there, and they can be so spread out because there's so many of them, and there's no interaction. And I don't even think that they did, or did they? They might have done yeah, they did. And no, I don't think she was on there. Okay, so let's back up for a minute. They did do a tell-all, which was basically their reunion after the show. I think it was like a 3 or 4 parter, so it was really good, very insightful. And Lydia, Pedro's mother, was not part of that, so I'm assuming that whatever franchise element of Single Life she was on must have been the one prior to. But the one that just ended with Chantel, she was on that one, and she had met herself a nice guy over in Italy. I don't know if they're still together, but I thought they were really cute. And maybe if given their proper circumstances surrounding it, they'll be able to continue on. But I was just happy to see Chantel meet somebody else, because she's a beautiful girl and she should move on with someone else. And I'm not just saying just being on the outside. She seems like she's a real caring, nice person. You would have to be with someone like Pedro, but I digress. So yeah, that's what was going on with them. So let's move on to the next couple. Now, this couple comes from a show that I didn't really watch either, and this is Welcome to Plathville. I think it's in the second or third season. I haven't seen an episode of it. I've seen little, adverts for it because I watch TLC, but that's about it. So if you watch the show, if you're into the show, drop it down in the comment section. Let me know, because I don't really know much about it, but they're on this list. So, and my goodness, the show just started. So already having divorces coming out of the show, and there's two of them, not just one, but two. It's a little bit disheartening, but let's get on with it. Kim and Barry Plath, the parents of 10 and the head of the Welcome to Plathville, announced their separation. And I want to pop this down here because I think this probably skipped that couple. There we go. This is the mother and the father. So they were the ones that were the lead-ins. I kind of feel like they were already at the end of their ropes with their marriage by the time they started this show. They would have to be. Because the whole concept of whatever they were doing is almost like living in an alternate life style, I guess, for the most part, off the grid maybe, but not quite off the grid, but just away from other people. And it was just, I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. I used to watch the Amish, Return to Amish, and something else. It was also TLC, and those were really good shows where there was individuals who came from Amish communities or the Mennonite communities, and then they decided they were going to leave those communities and then come into the real world, so to speak, and to live their lives. And there was a little bit of crossover between both types of lives and stuff. But that kept my attention for the most part. But I just couldn't get into Plathville. So sometimes I can only watch one type of a show like that. It would have to be a really good show for me to tune in on another one, because I'm kind of like maxed out on that one, right? But nevertheless, Kim and Barry Plath, the parents of the 10 and the head of the Plathville family, announced their separation after 24 years of marriage in June of 2022. After considerable thought and discussion, we have decided to end our marriage, the pair told People at the time. While this was not an easy decision, we know it's the best choice for both of us. We have been through many highs and lows in our 24 years of marriage. And as we navigate this new chapter in our lives, we will co-parent our amazing children. Kim, 51, has since gone public with her romance with Ken Palmer. So she moved on. Her son Isaac's flight instructor. Oh my gosh, is that a little bit close there? Meanwhile, Barry, 56, has been spending more time at the gym. And that may be a good idea for him to just kind of really concentrate on himself, because this right here is just, wow. Talk about close in proximity. I don't know. Sometimes some things are just too close. Next up is actually another family member from their family. So here we go. This is Olivia and Ethan Plath. Ethan and Olivia Plath, both 25, announced their separation October 2023. In separate Instagram posts after 5 years of marriage, Olivia and I have parted ways, Ethan shared in his post. It just didn't work between us. Though Lord knows we both gave it all we had. It seemed we were constantly pulling each other in opposite directions in life with different goals. I wish Olivia the best in the future ahead, and I care for her deeply and always will. 4 months after announcing their separation on social media, the former couple filed joint paperwork to end their marriage in Carver County, Minnesota on February 21st. People can confirm. Ethan and Olivia cited irretrievable breakdown as their reason for their divorce. They also listed their date of separation as of February 25th, 2023, though they didn't publicly confirm their split until the following October. So that's unfortunate, but I will say this, in comparison to the other marriages that have been there for dang near a quarter of a century, they decided at an earlier stage in their marriage that, this wasn't going to work. So there was no point in continuing on this path. So I think that's really brave to be able to come to that determination and be able to move accordingly. That's best in love, and for you to go your separate journeys, because sometimes it just doesn't work out. And like you said, simply, it just didn't work. And I think that's good. So now they can explore for other things, other people, other lifestyle choices that may work best for them, and to be able to move on to maybe other partners in the future that will be a better match for them. So definitely wishing them well in their future, and kudos to realizing it a lot earlier than most. The next couple here on the hot list is Amy Slayton and Michael Halterman. Now, I don't watch 1,000 Pound Sisters on TLC. I know it's a popular show, so if this is one that you watch, then you may already know about this divorce. But let me know if you are watching this show, because again, I don't really get into it too much. Let's go ahead and get into their sharing here. Amy Slayton's ex-husband, Michael Halterman, filed for divorce from the 1,000 Pound sister in Kentucky in March 2023, according to court documents obtained by People. The former couple eloped in 2017 before having a wedding in 2019, which has previously been documented on the TLC show. The filing came less than a year after the pair welcomed their second child, Glenn Allen Halterman. Their baby boy arrived on July 5th via C-section, weighing 5 pounds 11 ounces and measuring 17.5 inches at birth. Well, congratulations to the birth of their second child. The wait is finally over. Michael and I are happy to announce the birth of our son, Glenn Allen Halterman Slayton, 35, told People at the time. The delivery was a huge success, and now I have both of my miracle boys. Our family is complete. Unfortunately, it is probably only as complete as it is for the children being present. We do hope that, they are going to be able to co-parent in a healthy way to continue to raise their sons together. That's the most that anyone could ask for at this point. Again, I also would say that it is best to not be in a relationship for children, or thinking that children are going to make a relationship work, because it usually does not happen that way. And at the end of the day, to be able to separate and still be healthy in yourself, and healthy co-parenting is probably the best situation that you can definitely give to your children, so that they can live as best of a life that they can, irregardless of you being together or not. So we do wish them well. So we're moving on to the next couple, and that brings us to, oh no, we're not ready for this one here. But do you remember this couple, Molly Hopkins and Luis Mendez? Oh my goodness, talk about a blast from the past. Now, Molly and Luis were on the 90 Day franchise. And I do recall watching them maybe in their second season, I guess. I don't know how many seasons they were together. They might share in the sharing. At first, it seemed like they were really cool with each other, but I always kind of felt like Luis was, I don't know if he was really in the relationship with Molly for the right reasons. And as time went on with their coupling being shared on the 90 Days, you start to see the demise and the breakdown of that relationship, and subsequently a divorce. So it did seem like it was something that needed to take place, something that needed to happen, for sure, because I just don't know if Luis was really here for the right reasons. It seemed like it demised quickly. If you watch the show, you're familiar that Molly does have two daughters, one that's, I believe, an adult, and one that's might be 10, 11, something like that right now in age. And so, they had to be put along for the ride in this toxic situation, and that was really unfortunate for the children to have to deal with as well. So I'm glad that she got out of that relationship, because it just didn't seem like it was going anywhere, and it just got real petty real fast. I think there was an age difference there as well, which did not help the situation. So yeah, let's just get into what their sharing is here. Now, according to People, Mendez and Hopkins' courtship and marriage played out on season 5 of 90 Day Fiancé. The pair met at a bar where he was bartending while she was on a girls' trip to the Dominican Republic. See, there's the whole thing about these girls' trips. Stop bringing people back with you. Okay, when you go on a girls' trip, you're supposed to go out there and have fun, and then you leave the fun there. Stop bringing back stuff. It's kind of like that Vegas thing. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. Whatever you get into there, leave it there. All right, let's keep going. He proposed less than 2 months later, which, red flags. Anyways, Mendez and Hopkins tied the knot in July of 2017, but parted ways in January 2018. See what I mean? Their divorce was reportedly finalized in May, and Mendez told In Touch he has no contact with her. Shortly after finalizing their split, Mendez remarried and has chosen not to disclose his new wife's identity. And I don't know if that ever came out either, but of course he wouldn't, because it almost feels like, did you know that wife before you got with Molly? I don't know. happened pretty quickly. And I do believe that there was some conversation that there might have been a child that was had as well from that union with his second wife. So, yeah, it just kind of makes you wonder things that make you say, So now we're going to move along to our last couple here for this very disastrous list, if I may add, in regards to divorces, because this is never a good thing. But if you, again, are a fan of the 90 Day franchise, you know who this couple is, right? Natalie and Mike. Natalie and Mike have had a relationship that, again, in my opinion, should never happen. They were kind of that couple that they would probably be cool as friends and should have stayed that way. But yeah, it did not actually. And I think when I happened upon Natalie and Mike, they had actually already were kind of veering off their relationship. It was like a situation where either they had said the words that it was over or that it was kind of heading that way. And Mike was flying to Ukraine at the time in order to see what was going on with the relationship and if it could be saved. I kind of feel like that's what was going on at the time. And of course, Natalie is from Ukraine, and so he did go. The visit was, I didn't think that it would end in an engagement, and it did, because I believe Mike proposed to her right before. There was a lot of tension there. You know, Natalie has her views about certain things. She has things that she wants a certain way, and that's fine. I just don't think that they aligned with Mike's views, and Mike couldn't really get on board with that either. I think that Mike is probably a nice guy, just nice for somebody else. When the show continued on with their relationship, and he did propose to her, which again, I did not see that coming because I thought they were going to just part ways, but they didn't. I kind of felt like it was going to be a disastrous situation. Anyways, now he was close to her mother because her mother was really sweet and everything. And she came, I think, somewhere in the midst of during the world shutdown. And so with that being the case, you know, it's already a lot of tension and a lot of issues in that. And then, of course, subsequently what is went on, as we all know, that's happening right now when it comes to Ukraine. So there was a lot of issues there that, you know, some things that they could not help and some things that they could because they just were not a real good match to me. And then, of course, Mike has his mother, and it appeared they were close to the show, and she seemed to be, at least as the appearance given, very much involved, more than she should have ever been. I personally didn't like the exchange that Mike's mother had with Natalie when Natalie actually went to go be with them during Thanksgiving, I believe it was. And I get it, you know, there's obviously language barriers, there's culture barriers, there's all types of things. I just felt like it was a lot of unnecessary hounding. And you know, here's the deal. When you start talking to family members about your relationship and things about what's going on, they get your perspective and only your perspective in most cases. And you may or may not choose to be honest about both, you know, situations, how you are to them and how they are to you. But, you know, more times than not, the parent or whoever you're referring to, you know, telling your life story to about your relationship is going to take your side, and they're going to want to feel that they need to fight for you. And, you know, Mike, you know, he reminded me of pretty much a mama's boy, and that's not an attractive quality that I find attractive anyways. So therefore, it just really was a recipe for disaster. I felt there was a bit of a pile up and a gang up on Natalie, and, you know, love her or dislike her, you know, Natalie can, you know, be a little bit annoying, I guess, but I just feel like there was so much pressure on her as well. And she, you know, maybe didn't know how to convey that in the proper way. But I felt like the concept of abandonment was always dangled like a carrot in front of her. And then, you know, the whole thing was just a wash. There's a lot of breakdown in language barrier about what one person thought was being said, and the other person saying, no, that's not what I said. And that turned to a big blow up. And then towards the end of that Thanksgiving trip, you know, she's literally Natalie going into the car because she's not, I got to get away. This isn't working. And then, you know, her mother, or Michael's mother, excuse me, is barreling outside, you know, saying all this nonsense to her. And he's chastising her and disrespecting her totally in front of his mother, and it was just all a mess. And so when Natalie made the decision to say, I'm out of here, it made sense. The only problem that it was left was that she decided she wanted to try to come back in, and bottom line is it wasn't going to work. And I know a lot of people would love to make Natalie the total scapegoat, that everything was her fault, because a lot of times it's always the woman's fault, isn't it? We don't look at things sometimes from both perspectives. Not everybody, but some people. And, I think it was a bit of a pile on. And, look, at the end of the day, people hated her for the fact that she really knew what she wanted, or maybe felt that she was gold digging, or maybe felt that she was out here just for, herself. Maybe she was. Maybe all those things are true. But Mike is a grown man, and he walked into this relationship eyes wide open. And, he knew what he was dealing with. There was obviously some red flags there for both sides, I would say. He was not a saint in my eyes. And I'm just glad that they're not together anymore. And I do hope that she finds her happiness somewhere. The guy that she's with now, Josh, I don't know about that situation. But, hey, I wish her the best. I really do. Because I sit there thinking to myself, you come over here to another country to deal with this nonsense. I mean, you might as well stay where you were. I mean, at the end of the day, why are we leaving, places that we are mostly used to just to go to someplace else to get the same kind of quality of person? What's the point? But at the end of the day, Mike may be happy in a new relationship, I think, at this point. And hopefully they can move on. And I know Natalie's issue with having kids is really, really, on her now, because she's, getting older. She's very concerned about that. And I don't know if it's going to happen for her or not, but, whatever she wishes to have, as long as she's a good person, I hope that she gets what she's seeking for. So let's look at a little bit more about their sharing, because I probably told you the whole entire thing. But back to them. And Natalie Mortis, oh gosh, I'm going to hurt that last name, so I'm not going to even worry about it. Natalie and Michael, we all know who they are. Or Mike, I think she's lovingly just called him that. Natalie and Mike were first introduced to fans in season 7 of 90 Day Fiance. Their roller coaster romance played out into season 8 of 90 Day Fiance and season 4 of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, which I don't think they ever really had a happily ever after. In the season 4 finale of 90 Day, The Single Life, in April of 2024, Mike served Natalie with divorce papers on air, and I watched that, through cast member Debbie Johnson, which, if you remember, is Colt's mother. Who acted as the legal third party. The surprise caught a tearful Natalie off guard as she continued to evaluate what and who she wanted in her future. Because if you did watch the tell-all, you would have seen that Josh and Mike were still, in the running, if you will, as far as she was concerned. And of course, at the time, the 90 Day cast members slammed Mike for delivering the papers on TV and for involving Debbie. And I agreed with that, who said, and I quote, she just wanted to support Natalie. Didn't really come out that way. She did try, Debbie, she did try to, say, I guess she looked at herself as somebody who, if she did this, it'd be easier of a blow if it came from her. But I don't think it's so much even just the fact that it happened. It's the fact that it happened on national TV. Did it have to happen that way? Was it just for dramatic effect? Was Mike doing it for his mother's sake or his new girlfriend at the time, who I don't know if he's still with or not? I mean, what was the point in that? It was like, I'm trying to humiliate you. Maybe because he felt that he was humiliated by the fact that she just took off. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But you can never go anywhere. You can never get anywhere for tit for tat. But, sometimes people just have to learn that lesson on their own. This has been coming for years, Mike had said. He says it's not cruel on his part, of the backlash that he added. We basically got married on national TV. So I guess he felt that he was justified in humiliating her and making sure that if we got married on national TV, that meant that we could be divorced on national TV as well. And there you have it. Now, Josh, who to me seems like, I think that Josh should just be a friend and stay a friend. I think Josh should leave her alone. I think Josh is a bit of an opportunist in relationship status. I don't know why he's with Natalie. I don't understand. And I don't see anything coming good of that in a relationship kind of way. I think for Natalie's sake that she should really just move on from all men at this point and really concentrate on getting herself together and what she wants, because she seems a little bit all over the place. And that's what would happen when you're in a situation where you're in a country that you're not, born and raised, and you're just trying to make it out on your own. And then her mother also was able to come here as well. And so she has her mother, and they have a lot of repair work to do for themselves and their own personal lives and what's going on and playing out in real time for the world to see, unfortunately. And the fact that it's playing out is unfortunate. So at the end of the day, wish Natalie the best. I wish her mother the best. She seems like a very kind-hearted woman, and she really does love her daughter. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think Natalie might have a brother. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that she does have a sibling. We haven't seen much or anything of them beyond the 90-day happily. I don't even think it was happily ever after yet. That was before the 90 days portion when Mike went to go visit overseas. Excuse me. So I don't know how all of that's playing out for her family, but I do hope that Natalie does find her Prince Charming. But until she does, she's really going to have to work on herself and, maybe find her a way, and this may not even be possible, but find a way to devoid herself of the urgent need of having a child, because that's just not happening right now. At the end of the day, if you want the marriage and you want the relationship and you want all of that, and that's all great and dandy, you got to work at those things too. You can't just, walk out at the last, at every opportunity issue that comes about. But, we'll see what happens. Also too, she did in the last season of The Single Life that just aired, as they shared in April 2024 is when they had their tell-all. She went to go see, I think, a specialist as well, in order to decide how and if she could find another way to, go about having a child. I don't believe that she was going to move forward with it, but it was good to have the information. And I also think that if I remember correctly, that's what led her to trying to contact Mike again to see if they can, patch up their situation. But it seems to me that it's done now. Divorce papers have been given. I don't foresee Mike going back down that road again. I don't think Natalie's going to try to go back down that road again. I think that it's best for them to really just move on. And I wish them the best, just like I do for all the rest of the couples here on this list. And it's really sad and unfortunate. Maybe we'll get into a concept where we'll see a list of like all the marriages that happen. But sometimes relationships are just that. They're only as good as the work you put into them. And I do have a question for you. Along with leaving your thoughts, your respectful thoughts in the comment section about any of these couples and what you think of them and what you felt about the show is fine too. I would love to know. But do you think that some of these relationships were kind of doomed before they even got on board? I kind of feel like that's sometimes part of that reality TV curse. It's almost like they get in these relationships or get on these shows rather in these relationships that are already teetering, and maybe they're thinking that maybe this will be an opportunity to either spruce up our situation so our marriage will survive and we can stay together, or it's a way to maybe get that money, get that bag, if you will, and start setting up roots for ourselves to be apart. I don't know which, but I'd love to know your thoughts. But, I would love to know your thoughts and see what you're thinking. So, yeah, I think that about does it for this video. And I will be coming back for another video later on. So make sure you have your notification bells on and your thoughts are brewing, so your comments will share how you feel about it. I would love to know. We're in community here. Love to conversate with you in that way. So yeah, make sure that you are leaving your thoughts and let me know how you feel about those stories, and just your opinions in regards to the shows themselves would be great. And so I think for that, I will bid you adieu. Take care. Make sure you have that bell on. If you here and you haven't become a member, I hope you will decide to do so and become a family member here, so that way we can keep on talking, because there's so much to talk about. So with that, I'm gonna bid you adieu. Till next time. Bye.